that they can get their hands on to heat their homes. Now, the second big group of measures is concerns restarting the economy. Now, let us see a little bit about this. What Teresa is saying on this. We see here putting an end to legal prosecutions and things like bank account confiscations, salary confiscations for debtors, for people who have huge debts to the government.
Hang on, Michael. We'll discuss this in the second segment. Hang on. Stay on the line. We'll be right back on World Crisis Radio with the Salonika Compact.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Now is the time to secure Ancient Defense for you and your family. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. That's ancientdefense.com.
Gold. It's like nothing else on Earth. From the Romans through the Renaissance, from the Industrial Age to the Space Age, gold has weathered the test of time. For 6,000 years, gold has remained the ultimate store of wealth. According to the World Gold Council and the U.S. Mint, demand is at an all-time high. The stage is being set for the reemergence of gold as the common-sense alternative to a fiat paper currency that gets weaker every day. Midas Resources is proud to offer the hard-hitting report that arms you with the truth you need to protect you and your family from the Fed's plans for your hard-earned money. Don't gamble with your future. Call Midas Resources today and ask for your free copy of As Good as Gold. Call 1-800-686-2237 for the report the Fed hopes you'll never see. As Good as Gold can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. If you have ever thought about owning gold, you must read this report. Call Midas today at 800-686-2237.
We live in a complicated society. Stressful issues are always popping up. Have you ever been treated unfairly by someone? Have you ever been overcharged for a repair? Have you ever signed a contract or a document? Worried about identity theft? How many times have you been in those unique situations where you just wanted to call an attorney to find out if you're right or wrong, or what your legal rights are? But every time you think about calling an attorney, what do you think about first? That's right. Who do you call, and how much will it cost? Our friends at Legal Shield have found a solution. With a nationwide network of 6,900 attorneys who average over 19 years of experience, Legal Shield's law firms take over 40,000 calls per week helping their members. For less than $20 per month, you can have access to Legal Shield on everything from the trivial to the traumatic. Let Legal Shield stand up for your rights at lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com. Or call 855-340-SAVE, 855-340-7283.
Results will vary from case to case.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right, General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for $35,000. You heard right. That's 5,000 square feet for $35,000. Manufacturers, if you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100 200-foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait. So call 866-91-STEEL. Lock in your price now. Call 866-91-STEEL. That's 866-917-8335.
Not just an alternative to the mainstream media. We're the premier independent talk radio network. We are G's.
Crisis Radio. We're getting a rundown from Michael Chiotinis in Athens as we go towards this landmark Greek vote on the 25th of January, the Salonika Compact, the Salonika program of the Syriza election formation. First pillar is the humanitarian crisis. The second one we're just going through is protecting the economy so you can't be, thrown out on the street for tax problems. I believe they've got the first 12,000 euros are going to be tax-free. That's essentially the reform of the tax system from the bottom up that we here have also demanded. And I think you've also got, if you've got a house, your primary residence will be not taxed. You won't have to pay these huge real estate taxes. So, Michael, please take it from there.
We have to say here that people these past years, couldn't pay their taxes or debts to the government, were actually stopped by being able to do business. And what Syriza is saying is that they should be able to do business. They should be able to come to an agreement about how they're going to pay, and then they can restart doing business, start the economic activity. Producing, providing services, hiring people.
Right.
Now, someone might ask, what's so brilliant about that? I mean, you think that the IMF-imposed regime didn't want economic activity to occur? Well, it's actually not a matter of brilliance, as I see it. It's actually a matter of intentions. And what are the intentions of a government? And the intention was actually, in my opinion, to confiscate wealth. It wasn't a case of creating economic activity through this IMF regime. It was actually wealth confiscation. And I don't know what they were going to do with all this real estate, and maybe securitize it, sell it abroad.
I think Steve Forbes wanted to come and buy the Parthenon, didn't he?
Anyway, yes, but we're talking about private property here. Okay,
right.
There's a whole program of selling public assets, but we're talking here about private property being confiscated for debts, and I don't know what, securitize it, sell it as collateral for liquidity. I have no idea. God knows what derivatives, I don't know. But people weren't allowed to do business with this regime, and that's, I think, interesting.
Maybe we can compare this to debtor's prison, right? In Britain and so forth, if you had a certain amount of debt, you could be put in prison, right? I think Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens is a story about people who are in debtor's prison or on the edge. The American state of Georgia was founded by this guy Oliver Oglethorpe mainly to say you can't be put in jail for owing money. Right? You got to be out there so you can work it off. Sounds similar.
Yes, or peonage for
peonage.
The best scenario is peonage. The worst, of course, is prison. Actually, they stopped this imprisonment. They did have imprisonment for debtors for, I don't know, 1,000 euros or something.
Sure.
And at least they stopped that. Anyway, we see here also inside the program they're running on, series is running on, 12 months seizing of all legal measures against debtors, and we're talking here about debtors with demonstrably zero income,
Right.
who are being legally prosecuted. We're seeing here restoring the minimum wage to what it was 3 years ago.
And how much is that?
It's around 780 euros, around 800
Per month.
euros per month. Yes. Restoring what you said before, the tax-free income level to what it was. You know, they were taxing people below the poverty line here in Greece, 6,000 euros annually. You had an annual income of 6,000 euros being taxed, actually, with an income tax, if you don't believe me. They're talking about a debt jubilee or a debt freeze for so-called red loans. You call a loan or a mortgage red. You say it's red when the debtor is behind in payments, at least 3 months or 4 months. I don't know exactly.
In arrears. People that are in arrears if there's several payments behind.
Yes, they call it red loans, and
Red.
God forbid for banks to have red loans on their balance sheets. They're talking about a development bank. That's interesting,
Right.
I think. Special purpose banking institutions for small businesses and farmers, run by the government, of course. We should say here that the whole banking system, Greek banking system, is actually owned by the government because of bailout money, because of the debt restructure that took place 3 years ago, the so-called PSI, the great haircut, which is the only haircut in the history of economic of humanity, with which they striked inside holders of Greek debt, Greek sovereign debt, more than the outside. I don't think it's ever been done. And the banks went bankrupt because of this, and they now are owned by the government but run by bankers. They're not. The government is not allowed to intervene in the management of the banks. That's a bit strange. So they're talking about, of course, taking control of the banks because they are publicly owned de facto, and they're talking about using bank bailout money set aside but not used, and they say you will use that for our program. Also,
Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Now, we just had yesterday on the 15th of January, there was supposed to be the sentencing of Reverend Edward Pinkney in the Berrien County Courthouse in St. Joseph, Michigan. But in what I think shows the weakness of the prosecution, they have not proceeded to the sentencing. So that is all delayed. And instead, they're taking their wrath out on Reverend Pinkney by sending him to a prison many hours away in some godforsaken part of the state as a kind of harassment or punishment in that regard. But there's also been very important publicity on Russia Today Network and elsewhere. But let's get the rundown direct from the person who has been doing so much of it, and that's Daniela Walls, the chairwoman of the Tax Wall Street Party. Welcome, Daniela.
Hi, Webster. Yeah, we're calling that new prison the Siberia of Michigan. Everybody is waiting on word about what happened on January 15th in the proposed trial. Judge Chirac was reassigned during the new year to the civil docket from the criminal docket. The hearing was preliminarily set, but due to Judge Chirac's civil calendar, Reverend Pinckney's hearing was taken off the docket, and it